Alright guys, sad day at the shop. I think you guys remember a few weeks ago we posted a video about all of our favorite knives. And the one that I saved for last, my yanagi had a bit of an accident. My mag strip came down. I used a double-sided Gorilla Glue tape to hang it up on the wall. It had been there maybe 8-9 months without any issues. But I was sitting in the living room and I heard a big crash and I ran into the kitchen to see what happened. And the mag strip came down, which is probably the worst thing that could have happened in my kitchen. About 5 knives on it. The only one that saw any damage was the yanagi because it was on the end and that side tipped down. And unfortunately it landed right on the edge of my ceramic crock that I used to keep my hand tools. So you guys can see the damage here. Pretty good chipping on this guy. Not the worst that I've ever seen for sure, but still not good. Now, even though this isn't a huge chip, this is a lot of work to fix because it has to be done by hand. You can't really do this with a machine because you're going to cook your heat treat, you're going to screw up the geometry of a single bevel knife. So it all has to be done by hand. If this were a thin double beveled knife like a Kyuto or a Nikiri or something like that, realistically you could just butter knife it and then cut a new edge onto it. Wouldn't be the end of the world if you still had a lot of exposed core steel. Well, we still do encourage thinning the knife when you remove a lot of material or anytime you sharpen to just maintain the knife with a proper wide bevel sharpening. But that's not really an option with a single bevel. So this could be a quick fix if it's done a couple of the ways that I see it done very often that are usually not recommended. A lot of the time I'll see people that are a little bit less experienced with single bevel knives. To repair a chip like this, they'll do one of two things. The first is they'll cut a very, very deep koba onto the knife. They'll just angle the knife up higher than the bevel and they'll grind away until it's gone, effectively creating a very hard shoulder behind the edge. This is bad because, again, like we said with a single bevel, they're super quick and easy to touch up because of the geometry and because they come down in 0 to almost nothing and then you just put a little micro bevel for some strength. If you have a really hard shoulder between the primary and the secondary bevel, it's going to take longer to sharpen. You might not notice the thickness behind the edge when you're working with raw proteins and things like that, so it's not the end of the world, but it's certainly less than desirable and not the proper way to do it. Now, the other way that I see people try to fix a single bevel damage is much, much worse. They'll put it down on the Ura side and they'll either grind the Ura away until they get rid of the chip, or even worse, they'll angle the knife up on the Ura like a double beveled knife and they'll just go until the chip's gone and the edge meets. This is really, really bad. Now, one of two things has to be done to repair this. You either need to put it back down on the Ura again and remove material until you've met the edge from the primary bevel or the kiriha, or if it's gone too far and a new Ura needs to be cut because the back of the knife is no longer concave and perfectly flat, that's a really big job. Not a lot of shops, ourselves included, are set up to do that kind of work. You need a very large vertical wheel, which I'll show you guys here. Not a lot of shops in North America or anywhere in the world outside of Japan have much need or space for this, for how often they would have to do a job like this. They're not cheap. They take up an entire room pretty much. So you'll probably have to send this away somewhere to get it fixed. It's going to take a few weeks. So this is really something you want to avoid. To properly fix the damage on a single bevel, you should be removing material from the primary bevel. And then you should be making sure about every 5 minutes that your Ura is still coming together and you have contact all the way around and that you don't have anything to address. If you do, you address it as it comes up. But you should be taking into account both sides of the knife to maintain that original geometry and to keep it performing the way that it was when you got it, or after you had first set it up, because usually single bevels don't come fantastic out of the box. This one was pretty good. Really, really nice work from Tagashi. So I talk a lot, but Ben's a lot stronger of a single bevel sharpener than I am, so we're going to send this over to him and he's going to walk us through how he fixed it. Ben?
Hi guys, Ben here. Today I'm just going to walk you through the repair on Jake's yanagi that unfortunately took a little fall. So the first thing I did was clean up the knife. There was some patina and a little bit of rust on there. I used a stone slurry with a cork to just kind of go over that first. And the second powder I used is the same idea, just a little finer and synthetic. Once that was cleaned up, the first stone I worked with was a Nanawa Pro 3000. Going to want to make sure your stone's nice and flat before you check your Ura. After the Ura was sorted out, the first stone I worked with was a Nanohone 200 grit stone. So this is a pretty coarse stone that cuts relatively quickly, but nice consistent scratch pattern so it doesn't leave anything crazy hard to refine out later. So once I got the majority of the work done on that stone, I switched to a 400 grit vitrified diamond stone. These stones are super hard, so I really like them for trying to keep my shinogi nice and crisp. Still a very fast cutting stone, not something you need to really worry about flattening while you're working with it. After I finished up on my diamond stone, I moved to a Nanawa Pro 400 grit stone, which in theory would be the same as the vitrified stone, however this stone is a lot finer. After that I moved to a Nanawa Pro 1000 followed by the 3000. Something not really shown in the video here is that every 5 or 10 minutes through sharpening I was working the Ura just to make sure that all moves at the same rate and keep everything in check. And this video was done with the 3000 grit stone. Once I hit the 1000 I believe on the bevel, I switched to a 5000 grit stone for Ura work. After I finished up with the synthetic stones, I moved to an Uchigomori, followed by a Suita. Pretty much just working for aesthetics at that point, trying to make everything look nice. Once that was finished up, I just finished off the knife with a little bit of stone powder and a cotton makeup pad, just to blend through any little smudges or imperfections in my polishing work. And after that, one final pass on the Ura, as well as setting a Koba, and we are back in business.
All right, we're back. As you guys can see, Ben did a really nice job on this like he always does. No more chip, did a really nice job on the polish, cleaning everything up. And of course, it is very sharp. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe for more knife related content, and until next time, stay sharp.